Maybe it's a habit. Gotta use it. What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back, y'all. Humble Talk Podcast, episode 3. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah. Happy everything. 2023. We back in. We back at it like we never left. Listen, we'll keep it short and sweet this time around. Got something that I kind of do want to talk about a little bit more on a serious tip. So we'll just get right into it. Two things that have piqued my interest over the past couple weeks that I definitely need to kind of just get right into. At the beginning of this, we kind of talked about there may be some smiles and there may be some cries throughout this, right? It's a part of the humble talk. It's a part of being open and kind of being yourself and allowing yourself to kind of just be in the moment. So these two things that have kind of been brought to my attention stem from a childhood that I had prior to being in Texas and kind of being around this environment that I am currently in and the growth that I've made to be where I am today. So I'm going to definitely talk about those two things rather briefly and then kind of go into some personal things, like I said, that have kind of molded me to help me be where I'm at. And as I get to those stories later on, you'll understand why it was that I wanted to make this video here about these two issues that have been brought to my attention. First, foremost, Dana White. Dana White is the president of the UFC. For people who don't understand what UFC is, it's mixed martial arts. He actually founded it, built it up, sold it, and they kept him on as a president, making a bunch of money, pretty much doing nothing at this point. Not mad at you. You hustled the right way. You made your money, you know, and you kind of been just riding high off the hog. I get it 100%. Over New Year's Eve, him and his wife were out the country and they were celebrating New Year's Eve together. There's a video that has stemmed from that little gathering where it shows them kind of going back and forth. It actually shows her strike him as he's attempting to, it looks like, restrain her now. At first, when you first look at it, it doesn't look as though he's trying to restrain her. It looks as though they're kind of just having a conversation. He kind of just holds on to her hands or her wrists rather. And she kind of pulls away. She smacks him. That part is kind of troubling already, be it that you guys are out in public. I'm sure with it being New Year's, there's liquor, there's some type of alcohol beverages in the air. And his retaliation to that was smacking her once. I guess he didn't get what he wanted from the first smack, whether she dodged it or he just didn't get what he wanted out of it, as I said. So he smacked her again. This is in front of people. This is on camera. You can look it up. Dana White's a very powerful person in certain aspects. He's definitely not a political figure. He's definitely not, congressman type material. But in the realm in which he operates, which is the entertainment field, he's definitely a somebody. The fact that it hasn't been brought up and it's not front page news is very interesting, be it that all the fighters that are under him, if this happened to them or when this has happened to them, there's been indefinite suspensions. There's been indefinite fines. There's been a bunch of punishment. Doesn't really seem to be much punishment on his behalf. He did come out with a statement where he acknowledged it. He said it was what it was. And whatever consequences come from that, he'll take that. The problem is the person who gives out punishment is him. So we'll see how that punishment gets levied against himself. And if he'll actually hold up to it is what it is. I'll take what comes my way. I bring that up because it's not necessarily the stature of the person that I'm referring to. And this is going to get into the second story briefly. Domestic violence. I don't know a lot of people who've dealt with domestic violence in the grand scheme of the life that I've lived. But I do know people who've gone through domestic violence in very troublesome ways and very gruesome ways at certain points and times in my life. That is definitely going to be where I'm going forward from here. So if you're a little squeamish, if you're a little insensitive, if you're too sensitive, this is where you kind of want to cut it off from here and go find you something else to watch. Second brief thing that I want to talk about is Gervonta Tank Davis. The Gervonta Tank Davis. Lightweight champ of the world, boxing champion. I believe, I'm not mistaken, he fights tonight. I believe. If he does, hey, good luck to you, brother. But recently, he's also been in a situation where the police were called on him because of a domestic violence dispute, as per what the phone call, the 911 call says. He says it wasn't nothing, of course. The police arrive. They see the young lady. She definitely has a mark that looks like she could have been struck. They take him to jail. His bail's like $1,000 or whatever. He bails out, of course. And for him, the difference in these two situations is that he seems to have a history of this. It's what it seems as though. 2022 in November, he had an incident when he drove his Lamborghini into an intersection and hit a pregnant woman. He hit the pregnant woman, and based on the story goes is that he got out of his car. The pregnant woman was there. She was in a bad spot, being pregnant and being in a car accident. She asked him for help. He wouldn't help. He actually got in another vehicle and left. So, not saying that like he's a bad person, maybe it could be, hey, like I'm famous. I'm trying to kind of dodge the bad stuff, or at least try to get away from this and deal with this later. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. There's also a video of him from not too long before that, where him and a young lady were at a basketball game. Don't know what the actual back and forth was during that little brief interaction that they had prior to this incident happened. But there's a video of him grabbing her around her neck, collar area, grabbing her out of her seat and escorting her off the court into a back room somewhere or whatever the case is. I don't know what went on past that point, but the fact that you're able to see that on camera and there's people around says to me that maybe at some point you are who you are if you continuously show me that thing. Dana White, we don't know, right? We don't know. It seems to be a one-off. In both cases, the women came out, made statements and said, hey, this isn't their character. It was just a misunderstanding, and we'll go from there. I don't know how you putting your hands on a woman away, one, in public, and two, period, as it was a misunderstanding. I'm just not understanding that. It's hard for me to figure that out. Now, as men who both deem themselves alpha either from the financial space or the power space, they deem themselves as alpha. And I agree, right? I do agree that there are certain people, whether regular people, famous people or whatever, who carry themselves a certain way, who would, for me, be allowed to get that alpha title without it being an argument. My problem is a lot of these people who deem themselves as alpha, they deem themselves alpha. People around you should be giving you that title. They should be giving you that moniker because they see the way you react to things. They see how you carry yourself as a man, and they appreciate it, and they acknowledge that by giving you a title like that. But I also have to look at this and go, there's two sides to this coin. You may carry yourself as alpha, and I understand, and you may call yourself that, and you may actually be that. But I also understand this. Gervonta Tank Davis fights tonight, I believe, as I said. This woman who called the cops, who then said it wasn't a big deal, I know probably benefits from that, from the fact that he fights tonight. Dana White's scenario, he's kind of the guy. He's the breadwinner in his relationship. I want to say he makes like $500 million a year, something like that, something crazy, right? So in these situations, the power dynamic supersedes what you kind of know to be true or what should be the case and what you know is right. And that happens a lot. It happens a lot, more times than you may think. Here's my problem. There's not a dollar amount. There's not a length of relationship. There isn't any type of standard or dynamic that should keep you from allowing yourself to be in a situation like that. As a woman or a man, this goes both ways. I'm not picking sides here. Two wrongs are definitely two wrongs in my book. I don't care about who started it. Wrong is wrong. And let me be very clear. I do believe that as men who are usually stronger, faster, and bigger, we should have more control. I mean that wholeheartedly. There are situations where I've had to like, yo, listen, let me go take a walk. Hey, look, let me get in the car, go for a ride. Because even though I have control, I understand that the limit that I don't have control is on the horizon. So you know what? I got to go be the bigger person and drop my ego and go for a walk, go for a ride, go to the basketball court, shoot some hoops, go play football. Go find something constructive to do to allow myself to get out of my own head and to chill out. Because 9 times out of 10 is usually never worth the real scenario anyway. It's usually bullshit that pops up. And it's just an emotional reaction to bullshit on either side. But I'm not, me as a man, I can't put myself in the shoes of a woman to try to understand that dynamic in the moment and the brashness in which certain situations happening for her to have that level of control. I don't know about her, but I know about us. And I know how a lot of us come up. A lot of guys that come up in the street, a lot of guys that come up rough, a lot of guys who come from something, you should have better control. I know situations in which guys have had more control over beef they had in the street than over the girl that they live with. There's no reason why your light should be green to put your hands on your chick, but you won't put your hands on these guys out here that's telling you they're going to do X, Y, Z to you. I just feel like if you're going to be picky, you picking the wrong way. You should be out here knocking heads off and going home. And if you got to take whatever you got to take from your chick, not saying that it's right, but hey, sometimes, guys need a good verbal talking to. You know what I'm saying? You might need a good tune up every now and then. Certain situation. Hey, look, listen, get your shit together. Excuse my French. And hey, look, listen, you might need that. But I just don't see, I don't see it ending well. I never see it ending well. And everybody who's watching this or who may watch this or who may come across this, like everybody knows somebody who's been in a situation in which the conversation has come up and it's become uncomfortable. The reason why it's uncomfortable is because everybody knows the same thing. One, it's bullshit. And two, there's nothing that you can really do about it unless the people involved want to do something about it. So I say to that this, for the friends that I've come across, for the people that I don't know who may come across this, for the people that I don't know who this may touch, period. Hey, if you hit women, it's coward shit. That's my opinion. That's it. It's coward shit. And for the people who don't like it, if you know me, I'm outside by myself all the time. And I don't mean that away. In no way am I attempting to incite any type of scenario. But I don't backpedal. So I have a very stern feeling about that. And here in a minute, I'm going to get into why. But I hope everybody that's out there who hears this, who is paying attention, who knows somebody, I hope that there is a conversation that can be had. I hope that there is something that can be done on either side to make sure that everybody is safe, man. Everybody is in good health. And even the people that aren't, and the people who are struggling to figure that out, man, like there is a way out of that. There is a way out of that. Because if you choose not to get out, sometimes the situation outgrows you. And things just happen. And the moment that those things happen, not only are you affected, the people around you that you never thought about become affected. And once that happens, you no longer have control. So there's one of maybe three stories that I'm going to kind of tell you about, and they'll kind of escalate as we go forward. And I debated on having this conversation because a lot of people don't know me. A lot of people think that, sometimes it's sunshine and rainbows on this side if you know me now, and my life doesn't operate that way. I operate a lot differently than people think. And these are some of the reasons why. So I'll get into them real quick. We'll button this thing up, man, and we'll get out of here. I was about 10 years old. Spent the night at my friend's house. Never, ever really spent the night anywhere. Not that I couldn't, but like my neighborhood was so small that everybody was kind of walking distance. There was no point in really spending the night. We could just kind of just come and go as we pleased. It wasn't really a big deal. But for some reason, I ended up spending the night at this particular friend's house. And I've always been a light sleeper. That's just who I've always been. And so we're there hanging out. It's me, him, and his mom. He was the only child. We're hanging out, having a good time. Well, as we're there, later on in the evening, later on in the night, we're up playing video games, hanging out as always. And his dad comes home. Well, at the time that his dad comes home, my friend is asleep. I'm up. And when I say this is a while back, like this is back during like Twisted Metal on regular PlayStation. Like for those people who are, seasoned enough to understand how long that was. This is Twisted Metal times, right? On regular PlayStation. He comes in and we're upstairs. We're upstairs, downstairs style houses where I'm from. We're upstairs in the room and his mom's downstairs. He walks in. I hear the door close. I hear a back and forth. I can't make out what's actually being said, but I do hear a back and forth. I hear tussling. It sounds like wrestling going on. And at that moment, I sat there, and because I'm a light sleeper and I'm kind of like laying there, but I'm not actually asleep. I'm kind of in and out. I kind of wake up and I hear this, and it gets a little bit louder, a little bit louder, a little bit louder. You can hear stuff falling. You can hear stuff breaking. My friend is meanwhile sleeping like a rock. And this goes on for maybe 15, 20 minutes. And this is maybe 1 a.m. And so as I'm sitting there or I'm laying there, I'm trying to figure out what to do because I'm a youngster and I don't know what should be happening, what I should do and what I shouldn't do, because it's not my house. Never been here before. I know his parents, but I don't know his parents, right? Like my house is walking distance. Not walking distance as in like it's easy to get to, but walking distance as in like, this is my neighborhood. I grew up here. If I need to go home, I'm going home. So after a couple more minutes of me kind of deciphering the situation and trying to figure out what it is that I want to do, I get up, throw shoes on, and I walk downstairs. As I walk downstairs, I kind of cut my eyes to the left as I get to the opening between the upstairs and the bottom of the stairwell where I can kind of see into the rest of the house. I see him on top of her and they're kind of arguing back and forth or whatever. I kind of look, I cut my eyes. I'm a youngster, cut my eyes, and they cut their eyes at me and they get quiet and they're kind of they almost freeze. Like hoping I don't see them in a way. Like they kind of just like stand there. Like they're kind of just there. Right. I just go down the stairs, walk to the front door. And when I opened the door, I heard his dad say, "Where the hell you going?" I don't know if he thought I was his son or if he knew who I was. I don't know what he thought. He wasn't there when I got there, so I don't know. But I heard that. I got outside and I just continued to walk home. I got home. We had a porch at my house. And I don't know how early this was, but I know I didn't doze off till after 12. So at some point, this is after that. I get home and instead of knocking on my door, I just lay on my porch and I go to sleep outside. So I wait until the sun comes up. I go outside. I throw rocks upstairs to my window. Me and my brother shared a room at the time. I threw rocks up to the window. My brother came down, let me in. I went back upstairs. I never said anything about it. I never said anything about it. I never even said anything to my friend about it to this day. I don't know if I regret not saying anything, but I definitely never spent the night again. That was the last time I made that mistake. I don't know where my friend is now. I haven't talked to him in years, but that was the first time I had kind of like, you know, not really observed, but I've been a part of a situation like that. Second situation, a little bit, we're getting closer to home the further we go. My uncle dated a young lady. Rest in peace to my uncle. My uncle dated a young lady who had kids around me and my brother's age. So a lot of times around the video game era, when we were younger, we'd hang out a lot. We'd go over there because there was kids our age, and we would hang out, play video games, hang out, shoot the shit, whatever. My uncle would drink. Well, my uncle would come in. He'd be pissy drunk. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. He'd pissy drunk. He'd walk in and he'd go upstairs. And again, upstairs, downstairs. We're in the living room. Their bedroom is directly above the living room. So as they get in, you can hear conversation, you can hear the arguing, and then you can hear the thumping around start. You can hear her yell. You can hear him tell her to shut up. You can hear all this. And we're looking at these guys, her sons, because we're all now in a dilemma. Because even though that's your mom, that may be getting abused upstairs or vice versa, or they're abusing each other. I don't know. We're not upstairs. But even though we know what we're hearing, that's your mom. And while you want to defend your mom, that's still our uncle. So this thing had gone on a couple times. We would be there. Finally, I said something to my mom and I'm like, look, listen, we don't need to go over there anymore. We didn't go. There was a time that she ended up going to the hospital. She cut him. And I think she went to the hospital. They finally broke up. And from everything that I know, she's doing fine. My uncle, like I said, rest in peace to him. He's passed away. But again, like these are things that start being drilled into your head a certain way. And you don't even think about it. You don't even think that like every time I hear noise and I can't figure out what it is, and there's two people in the room, that's what I'm assuming is happening. And the funny thing about that is that's exactly what was happening in my household. And I didn't know what it was. I thought that it was just, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know what I should have thought it was, but being around these things made me kind of like sit back at some point and go, damn, like this is happening at my own house. The reason why I found out about that is because I'm a light sleeper. One of the greatest gifts and the curses that I have as a person is being a light sleeper, because I hear shit I'm not supposed to hear, and I'm usually tired a lot. Those are two usually the things that I run into a lot. Is where I'm like, damn, like I definitely wasn't supposed to catch that. Was not supposed to catch that. I know I wasn't, but I caught it, and now I caught it. What do I do with it? What do I do with this knowledge that I have that I'm not supposed to have? My mom and my dad had a drug run, that I'm not going to get into right now. Other than to say, like, that's part of how I found out about what was going on in my house. My dad beat my mom with a belt one day, and I heard it. And I asked him about it. Oh, no, he didn't lock the door. I walked in and I seen it. Later on, a day or two later, I had asked him about it. He told me to shut up, mind my business. You're beating a woman with a belt, and the kid asks you why or what's going on, and your comment is to mind your business. Now, as a parent, I can understand you not wanting your kid to overstep any boundaries. I do get that 100%. But I do get like, hey, I'm caught in this thing. So I have to I should address this a certain way, not mind your business, because to a nosy kid, mind your business is going to make him want to snoop more, right? That's how that usually works. So the more it happened, the more I would be awake. It got to the point where I wouldn't sleep much. I would hear the thumping around, and I would go sit on the stairs. And I would hear the argument back and forth. I would hear the tussling. I would hear the pictures falling from the wall. I would hear all this stuff. And I would kind of like low key when I was around my mom, like ask her like, yo, like, you all right? You good? Not getting into it because I was told to mind my business, but just ask. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe she would say something that would make me feel like in a way it was okay, or in a way like, I don't know, right? I was young. So again, by not putting an end to it somehow, some way, and allowing the situation to grow, the situation ended my parents because it got too big for them. It outgrew them. When I was 10 years old, this was August. I'm an August baby, Leo. So I'm up because it's right around my birthday. You know, I'm counting the days down. I got summer camp, right? I'm up early, fresh white tee on. If you from the East Coast, you know what that's about. Well, I guess it made it to Texas, I guess, too. I had the Nike Air joints on with the big air on them, the white ones with the red outline. I'm fire, right? About to go to the park. Shouldn't have wore those shoes because it's dirt at the park. Different story, right? Got beat like a slave for them shoes. But I hear the arguing. Well, as I kind of go downstairs and I would sit on the stairs. And again, remember, going to sit on the stairs was kind of like, I guess it was like my teachable moment. Like I'm hearing this. Okay, I know what this sounds like. I understand it, but I didn't know what to do. There have been moments where me being in the room would alleviate the argument for the moment. It would die down because they would see me and go, Stefan's here, relax. We'll talk about this later. Whatever the case is. And so me thinking that way, I go, okay, well, let me just get my shoes and stuff on, but sit at the top of the stairs. I have a bird's eye view now of the dining room, the kitchen, the living room, which the dining room and kitchen were separated by the staircase that I was sitting on. The living room is separate. My mom's in the kitchen cooking food. I'll never forget it. My dad's sitting on the couch in the living room. They're bickering from across the house. They're not even in the same room. They're yelling that loud where their voices are carrying across the house. He's yelling this, she's yelling this. They're grown-ups, right? Y'all understand how y'all arguments go, or how our arguments go, right? Because I'm human too. I watched my mom get real quiet. And now that I'm older, I understand what that silence was. I get it. Like something in her, a switch flipped in that moment. I watched her walk from the kitchen. She stormed into the living room. My dad was sitting on the couch. She had a pitchfork in her hand. She was making food. My dad jumped off the couch, and mind you, I have a bird's eye view to this entire thing. My dad gets cornered in the living room. And as he's cornered in the living room, my mom goes, hey, I'll stab you. I'll kill you with this pitchfork. This is what she says. And she's holding it in front of my dad's face like this. Like she's holding it right in front of him. I don't know what he says. He goes, hey, go on. Okay, I'll whatever. You win, whatever it is. She takes the pitchfork and pokes him with it in the chest, right in the heart area. I can still hear at 35 years old, I can still hear the skin puncture from when she hit him in the chest with the pitchfork. I can still hear it. I watch him grab his chest, fall to the ground. I watch my mom turn and not check on him, turn and run back through the house into the kitchen, out the back door. I hear her throw something, which is the pitchfork. She throws the evidence into a field. She comes back in. She picks up the phone. She calls the hospital on 911. 911 comes. That day, instead of going to summer camp, I got to watch my mom go to jail, watch my dad go to the hospital. Now I have an older brother and a younger sister. So in that moment, because my brother and I, I like that, right? Because we're older, not old, but we're older, right? We're 10, 11 years old. I mean, whatever. My family, my mom's side of the family, because that's all I really know. My mom's side of the family wouldn't take us in. They took in my sister because she was younger and she was a girl. So from the time I was 10 years old, the streets came in, swooped you up, patted you on your head, tell you're doing a good job out here. And life just kind of went the way it went. Ultimately, they kind of separated and they never got back together. There was a guy that my mom seemingly started dating, I guess, in some way earlier on, as they were trying to get it back out, get it back together. But I don't know what that turned into. He ended up passing away, and he actually wasn't a bad dude, but they would drink and they would fight and they would argue and they would do shit like that. And I would go up there. At this point, I was older and I was hardened by being in the street, and I was a different person. And so the argument would start and the fussing would start, and I'd go open the door and go, "Hey man, you need to go talk outside, homie." Or we ain't got to go talk outside. But Mom Dukes, you can go outside and go ahead and close this door behind me, and me and you can get after it. Ultimately, you got to decide, like, what's worth it. Is it worth you taking that? Was it worth your mom taking that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a very hard pill to swallow, to know. And the caveat to this entire thing is I'm not close to my parents. I don't have a relationship in the traditional sense with my parents. Me and my parents don't talk. But it's just the fact that that was a woman that you was beating on. The fact that it was my mom didn't matter to me. The fact that it was a woman didn't matter to me. So I say all that to say, like, hey, like, this stuff that I'm seeing and all this, like, hey, like, you know, women want to hit guys so guys can hit women. All that shit's coward shit, man. It really is. It's coward shit. And it's going to lead you to a situation in which the situation is going to become bigger than you. And when it becomes bigger than you, you have to be willing to deal with those consequences, whatever they are. You can't put your hands on anybody and then be mad when they decide to retaliate. It don't work that way. It does not work that way. I have aunts, one in particular that I'm thinking about, who was notorious for having baseball bats all around her house. I've seen those baseball bats go to work. I have 100% seen those baseball bats go to work in real life, on real grown men. Because they attempted to be away, she wasn't going for it, and you got one time with her. So to everybody out there, man, who's going through stuff, people going out there who got people that are going through stuff, hey, there is something better. Hey, there is light at the end of that tunnel. You know what I'm saying? You might not want to walk through that tunnel by yourself, but you got to have you somebody, that really cares about you. And they really care about you, they're going to ride it out with you regardless. Everybody wants to ride when it's negative shit. Nobody wants to ride when it's positive shit. I get it. I know. It sucks. I know. I know. But people are human, and I understand that people make mistakes. I get it. 100%. They make mistakes. People are going to continue to make mistakes. As long as we live and we exist, people are going to make mistakes. But what's more of a mistake is knowing that a situation is brewing and it's becoming bigger than you, and having faith in the opposite direction that it's going to stop itself. Don't work that way. It won't stop itself. somebody, you, if you're watching this, you have to be the one to stop it. And if you don't stop it, then you're open to allow whatever comes in that situation to happen. So you can't yell for help after. But I don't know. To the people that are around me, that are behind the door, behind closed doors, doing their thing, or whatever. Like, hey, look, listen. As I said, coward shit. Don't give a fuck how you feel about it. Respectfully. Hopefully it's not a conversation that we ever have to have. But for the people that know me, hey, look, I'm always around. And I ain't perfect. But one thing I don't do is beat women. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure. You can ask about me. It's for damn sure. So, I mean, I know it was definitely, this one was a hard one today. And it's definitely a hard one today. There's so much that goes into the person that I am that a lot of y'all don't know about, that, like I said, we'll definitely get to the bottom of. I think in a way it's somewhat therapeutic for me to kind of get out some things that I've never really get to talk about. But we will continue to talk about different things that are going on. But I definitely will be including some stuff about myself, man, because it's kind of self-medicating in a way. So for those of y'all, man, going through the struggle, hey, I'm here for you. Hey, like, people care about you. Trust me. Trust me. People do care about you. So till next time, hey, the official Kickback Humble Talk podcast. It's your boy Feast, as always, signing out. Catch you on the next one. Again, Happy New Year's. New Year's resolutions in the comments while you're talking about it. And real quick, my New Year's resolution, I'll start it. My New Year's resolution is I need to go to a tattoo shop, if we're being honest. That's not a resolution, though. That's not a resolution. I got some other things, some other business ventures that are in the works. I got some things shaking. I just hope everything that I got on my plate allows my plate to stay as full as it is right now. That's all I can ask for. I got the hustle in me to go get it. I've been going to go get it. I'm getting a little older, but the hunger to be successful is real. And when the hustle is real and the hunger is real, you almost can't fail. So I guess with that being said, my resolution is just to make sure that my plate stays full. That's what I want. If I could have nothing else, that's the one thing that I can take into this new year. Whatever it is. It may not be this venture. It may be a different venture that pops up that I may jump into. You never know. But I just hope that my plate is full of positivity, man, and more growth. And hopefully everything works out the way I wanted to. Y'all will be along for the ride. So, hey, strap in. Like I said, the official Kickback. Resolutions in the comments. Catch y'all next week. Bye.